I've hit a milestone today, Spencer.
A good one or a bad one?
I don't know. I wrote my first official sex scene.
Ooh.
Like, not, just dabbling in it. Or because the way I wrote this scene, initially, I did a Hemingway where I just kind of glossed over it and didn't have the sex explicit. I just went and wrote, like, bodies moved in harmony, and then it just goes, like, it's a paragraph long. I was like, okay, that's cool. But then I decided this scene needs a second sex scene. That's sex. And I wrote that scene. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I got the whole time I was writing, I was strangely tumescent. I was kind of engorged.
I was gonna say the story didn't need it. Kev was just feeling randy, is all.
I think that's what it was. It might not even stay in there.
See, I just have my picture. The picture that comes to mind right now is whenever Mr. Garrison writes those romance novels.
Penis,
yeah,
dude. When I was writing that, I had to, like, that kept going through my mind. I don't get penis going through my mind over and over. But I was like, how do I say penis without just using, like, dick or cock or being gross about it? So I can't just write penis all the time. So you get one penis here, and then maybe a member, a shaft, a head. And because I wasn't trying to go, like, detailed with it, but still, you have to use the word penis a lot in a sex scene if you want the girls to like it, Also, I'm just, like, my mind went straight perverted because what happened was my character, the female character, after coitus, she's supposed to just get up and she's, I don't remember if we talked about this. I incorporate a dwarf kind of character who has like a little weird hat and the one kid finds it or something. But anyway, the hat's on the desk and she sees it and she's like, what the fuck is that? She gets up to see it, but she puts on her boyfriend's t-shirt. And then it was just supposed to be like a scene. I want her to be revolted by the hat. And then he's like, what the fuck? That's weird. And then it was gonna, there'll be some kind of unveiling of why this hat has any importance to the story later, because magical fairies and shit. But for some reason, when I wrote that scene, I was like, well, her butt cheeks gotta be sticking out. That shirt's not all the way down. So I wrote it in such a way where she puts the shirt on and it stops like an inch and a half above the bottom of her butt cheeks. And I was like, well, if I'm the guy in the bed watching that scene, even if I just got done having sex, I'm looking at that.
Yeah.
And then how do I feel as like a 20-year-old?
Well, if you were up. If you won't sleep.
Awake.
Yeah.
Well, again, 20-year-old.
Yeah.
These are youngsters still. That's kind of gross to say, but they're younger adults. They're in their 20s, their early 20s. So I wrote it from the point of view of what if I was seeing this, and then what would I do? And I was like, yeah, he's gonna get up naked, swinging dick, and walk over there, and that's exactly how the scene unfolds.
If you're gonna have to go back and edit and work in and as he got out the bed, he walked to her in his best Vince McMahon.
The Conor McGregor Vince McMahon strut, arms swinging. That was you.
Yeah.
Ew. Don't be touching my knee under the table during the sex talk. I thought that was Nitro for a minute. I was about to rub your leg. Hey, you like that? But you start scratching your ear. Like, okay, that's getting weird. I don't know how you've got your foot so high. So, yeah, first, I've dabbled, but I've never written a full-on explicit sex scene, and I liked it.
If you want, if you want to write the best sex scenes, you just need to go and look up all of Stephen King's exam. If you want to write some good sex scenes,
I think Stephen King and Haruki Murakami can have a good battle of who writes the grosser sex scenes. Not grosser as in pooping and gross stuff. Just gross as in, come on, you old guys. Why are you writing about this? Like, this isn't, no.
I mean, even when he was young, like, his sex scenes were just kind of like, they worked. They
suffice. Yeah. That's like Haruki Murakami. He's like, all right, I just want to get through this.
I really want to know if those two have ever met, because I feel like they're just like the same almost. Like,
yeah, the completely different writers and writing styles, but they just they're a fame and age and everything. They just seem like the kind of he's the Japanese, and
somebody should do like a video of just a parallel of because like you said, they both are probably around the same age, so as both of their careers are progressing, I think that would be an interesting thing to see.
That would be unique, because I feel like they probably both got famous around the same age too. Because I think Murakami didn't get famous till he was in his 30s, and that's about the same for Stephen King, right?
Yeah, because he teached and stuff for a while before Carrie.
He teached. He's the teach.
Yeah.
Unless you have any other pressing business, I don't really have anything else. Just the sex scene.
No, I don't think I'm good. I'm spent.
You're spent. I used that. I did. I used it at the end. Maybe now it's cliche and I should take it out. I don't know. I never. Okay, we'll go back to the sex scene real quick. See, here's where I think I have a good, unique perspective on the sex scene. Not just because I haven't really written an explicit sex scene before, but I don't read erotica, romance, or a lot of work that actually has sex scenes in it like that. Because most of the stuff I read is classic literature, which if they have sex scenes, it's like Hemingway, where it's more about like the emotions and just like not the physical act. It's just everything else and like the feelings and the way the world goes around it. And then even in like Murakami stuff, his stuff is so hammy with the sex scenes. He's just like, and then she cupped my balls and stroked my cock, and it's very robotic and mundane. Like his other stuff, it's like very mundane sex. And I'm just, you read the couple in the one story. But anyway, it's like I'm not getting anything from that. And then Stephen King's kind of the same way. It's like I'm not getting any. I'm not gonna want to write that kind of sex scene. So I'm almost going in like blank slate. So like at least the sex scene's gonna be my own original style of writing a sex scene. So that's love making scene, Spencer. Erotic.
Fornicating.
Also trying to, because this isn't a sex book at all, so trying to keep the language. Like I said, I don't want to use like dick or too many swear words, but I don't want it to be too scientific. Like I got him rubbing her clitoris. I'm like, I don't know about that. First draft, folks. Anyway, after the space music, we got a very dry topic for you today. It's gonna be so dry. You are listening to the Drunken Pen Writing Podcast. Doesn't it just feel good to do another episode? Again. And again. In this goddamn hyperbolic time chamber. We get really buff in here. But what do? Record thousands of podcasts for no reason. For how many listeners? Who knows? At this point?
For tens of listeners.
For dozens and dozens of listeners. Yeah. So anyway, I'm your host of the great podcast you're listening to. I am Caleb James. With me today, Spencer, the Finnish Fancy Frolicker Church. Now, I have to ask you this one, because this one confused me a little bit.
I like how your own name confused you, and I have to clarify it.
How does one frolic fancily in Finland?
Well, I could show you, but this is an Audible podcast, so I don't...
We have to save that for your OnlyFans.
Yes.
That's weird, though.
That's prime content.
What makes it fancy is what I guess I'm really asking. What makes the frolicking fancy? Because I know frolicking it seems kind of fanciful anyway.
Yeah.
So what makes it fancy? Are you in like a top hat?
Well, it's a special quality that's hard to define.
You can't quantify the fucking frolicking.
Yeah, it's very much like evil or whatever in H.P. Lovecraft stories. You just can't
define it.
Yeah, you can't describe it.
Your frolicking borders on the line of insidious.
Yes, yes.
There's something menacing about your they see you, they're like, that guy's having a good ass time in that. Wait a minute. Why are all the leaves turning, like all the grass is turning black around his feet? What is happening? There's something wrong with that guy. The fact that he has no pants on is besides the point.
That's the least of the issues.
By the way, when I first thought up that very stupid name, it was not frolicking. No, it was another F word. You're going to be the fancy something else that starts with an F that was not frolicking. So today's episode is sponsored by St. Helen's Church of Jesus. And I don't know. I can't. I'm so fucking shitty when it comes to religious stuff. I can't even
make up a good sounding.
Can't even
make
up a good fake Christian organization. Like I was gonna say something Latter-day Saints. I couldn't even remember what it is. I was like, what the fuck? I can't even do my own bit. I suck ass. You know what? I accept that. I was right before you came in. I was about to write an article about I'm a loser, and you know what? I am gonna. And I lost the article that I was fucking covering today.
I was gonna say, are we just gonna workshop that that article for this episode?
No. You know what? Hold on.
I could probably give some pointers, and
I'm being a loser.
Yeah.
What constitutes a loser? Without being self-deprecating, what would you say makes one a loser, Spencer? I'll tell you what I think. I think a loser is somebody who stops trying. That's about it. Because you could be a loser by circumstance. That's not your fault if, like, I don't know, you're born dirt poor in the South, and you fucking grew up on a dirt farm, and like it's kind of hard not to be a loser in that situation. Usually, money is the reason people start out as losers. Oh, that's Spencer Church. I should just. The problem is, this is not an article; it's an essay I'm looking up, and the problem with the essay is it's a fucking downloadable thing. So in my phone, I can never find my downloads for some reason for PDFs.
Oh.
Like I don't know why. Anyway, so what do you think a loser is? You could discuss that while I find this.
It's very different. It can mean so many different things, and for so many different people.
An attitude.
There's an attitude. Also, like at least personally for me, like the treating of like other, like, you know what I mean, the way you act and treat others, like, that kind of, at least personally for me, like as I would view somebody else. Or
here's a good example. There's a popular meme that's going around. It's been going around. It's Vin Diesel, and he's kind of chubby looking in the picture. He's out of shape, and he's on a yacht. And somebody, I guess, called him out on it. And then somebody commented. Somebody said, "Oh, look at him! What a loser!" And then somebody said, "Oh, yeah, he's a loser." Says the guy wearing a shirt not on a yacht. Like,
right?
It's like the guy who fucking is making the bad comment. That's the loser in my book. I don't care if that person's financially successful. If you're treating people poorly, you're a loser. If your attitude is bad, you're a loser. And if you don't try, you're a loser. Because I will always say, somebody who just falls ass backwards like the fucking Catch Me Outside girl. She became famous from a stupid catchphrase that wasn't even supposed to be a catchphrase, and then just act shitty to people and stuff. It's like, that's more of a loser to me than somebody who's like a hardened musician who really tries and just can't catch a break. But anyway, I don't want to go on that tangent. That could be a different episode. Today's episode is going to be full of words I probably can't say, so bear with me here.
My favorites.
Your favorite kinds, aka every episode we do. I thought this, Ashley sent this to me, actually. I didn't read the whole thing, so it could end up being wrong, Shandy. But it's from 1993, so we can't feel too bad. Mozartians, Beethovenians, and the teaching of writing. This is about the style of writing and finding your style. And I think, from what I remember, this is a couple days ago, you can't do, like, when you're teaching writing classes, because a lot of people was like, oh, you got to go to the, creative writing classes and stuff. You can't have a blanket style for all writers. No. You can't have a blanket process, a writing process for all writers. It's not going to work. Everybody's different. So I think that's where we're going to break down some of these. So in this essay from 1993, Diana Christine Boehm, and I do not know this woman, so I apologize if I'm misspelling or mispronouncing her name. Diana Christine Boehm directly confronts the myth of the sequential writing process, finding that writers create as Mozartians or Beethovenians, or sometimes a little of both. Agreeing with Donald Murray, she claims that our job is not to teach students how to write, but to teach how to teach themselves to write. That is, we need to help each of our students find a writing process that works for her. So I thought that was a really interesting point just right there, because like we spout fucking different, I think I would say we're pretty unbiased when we give, our stupid advice, but, about writing processes, but we covered it a couple times on the podcast. And in those episodes, I think we always bring up, like, you got to do what works for you, though. We give you some ideas of what we, like, works for us and what we think could be beneficial, such as trying to write every day or, always carving out the time to write, or if you can build a specific writing routine. But that's still kind of a blanket style of going into it because not everybody, functions that way. Some people are binge writers. Some people need to write every day or else they lose momentum. Me. Some people, they just write once every year and it's amazing, magnificent, brilliant piece, and then they don't write for another year. I wouldn't mind being that guy. That sounds easier.
It would be nice.
Alan Moore. Teaching about the writing process can be dangerous. We who are writing teachers and writers tend to assume that other people, students, will write like we do or like the textbooks say they should. We perpetrate a myth, Spencer. That's what we're, as teachers, because I'm reading this from us now. Okay. Me and you. Whoa. I'm going to take this essay. It's me and you now. This is our wisdom here. We're the writing teachers now, and we say we perpetrate, that's a weird word. We perpetrate a myth. The writing process has an element of mystery. Poets resort to mystical measures in pursuit of their elusive muse. You're a muse guy. You like finding that sexy. No, I'm not going back into the sex stuff. You find that hardened, no, that doesn't work either. How do you make a muse not sexy? Because I always think of a muse as a sexy lady.
Well,
Maybe that's just my
yeah.
muse.
Yeah, of course.
Lady.
I don't. I would be a little worried if your muse was like Ron Jeremy.
Ooh. I mean, somebody's got to have a muse like that, right? It can't all just be like sexy slut Tinkerbell. Like it's got to be, maybe like David Bowie or something.
I would not be like if there was a total.
You're saying words, but nothing's really coming out.
Nothing. Like if you took like a tally of people, like you know what I mean,
right?
A contestants. I'm sure that
a poll,
a poll.
The word you're looking for.
Yes, a lot of them would be to the sexy Tinkerbell.
Yeah, I like how you went for the harder words: tally, consensus.
Yeah,
like you could think of the word poll. It'd be a long episode. Oh no. But recent research into the intricate workings of the brain, coupled with the disdain of both teachers and students for the mediocre writing often produced by formulas, have provided some exciting insights for the teaching of writing. Among them, the fact that the writing process is highly individualistic. Now, I do agree with that, but I will say this. We have hit an era of very formulaic writing, in my opinion. At least what's best-selling, or just most available, such as in the indie scene. I feel like everybody took the same creative writing class because you could hand me like a stack of indie authors and it'd be like, some of these are the same author and some of these are different authors. And I would read through and be like, same. They're all the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. And you can even, like James Patterson style, very formulaic in the way they tell story, because I say they because he's not a they, them, but he might as well be because he always has somebody co-writing his books. I think he just tells them to write this. He just gets other people to do he comes up with the formula for the story and it works for him and everything he sells. So he just tells somebody else to do it or co-writes it if you can. I feel like he just probably like, all right, this is what I want to happen in this scene. And then they write it, themselves.
I was going to say, as to go back to that last week's episode, I feel like how we both of us were talking about, like that kind of goes with like your voice, and how I think like at least both of us, at least for like at where we're at now, I think like if you would put our, stories in a stack of other people, and they might not be able to be like, oh, that's the Spencer or Caleb story, but like
that's somebody else.
That's a different, somebody else wrote that.
It's interesting when I go over submissions, there's always a batch, usually right in the middle of the submission period, especially during Halloween, where every story reads the same. And I just I don't want to outright reject people because sometimes like the stories are good. It's just they're the same style of writing down to the fucking punctuation and everything, which you can tell a lot of times when it's like, oh, this person's relying heavily on Grammarly or Microsoft's Words editor or whatever it is. So their writing comes across as very universal, and, you get multiple people like that. You're like, I want to blow my fucking head off. This is getting very tedious. I don't even want to read these stories because it's amazing how if you read enough stories, even if the quality's really good, but the writing's just the same, you just don't care anymore. You're just like, I want something different. I like steak, but sometimes I want a fucking burger, Ooh, yeah. I like grabbing it from the back. It feels like balls. Doesn't feel like balls, but it's just like the motion.
I was gonna say, like, what are you like? You gotta go to the doctor, Caleb.
People didn't see that. I grabbed the back of my mic. It's like, I got these fancy. Shut up. So anyway, yeah, you want your writing to be individualistic. It is also recursive, not linear. The teacher who prescribes a careful sequence of steps fails to recognize that while those steps may be successful for students who think in linear, step-by-step ways, they will create only frustration for those whose thinking processes are different. This is an interesting point because I am, like we've discussed in last episode, actually, I am very linear with my writing style. I just go A to Z. I don't, I'll take notes and stuff if I come up with a scene idea and even maybe write out some of that scene, but I just, throw that to the side till I get to it. Some people can't do that. They, oh, this scene would be cool, and they have to write out the whole scene as it is. And almost like movie making, usually movie makers, they go, they storyboard. We're just shooting the end today. We're shooting this part Yeah,
they shoot it whenever they have the time or the
all
scheduling.
Out of order, yeah.
And then it just gets taken care of in the editing process.
Of course, the screenplay is obviously not like. I mean, it could be written like that. As in, whoever wrote the screenplay I'm gonna write this scene and then I'll go back and write the beginning. But it just reads as one narrative.
I was actually thinking about this today at work because of the story that I'm working on. I'm finally starting to get into some of the big bits of action. I remember a couple episodes ago, we both had concerns with our story of taking too long to get
Too much build up.
Yeah. So, because like the stuff that I have in the beginning, I like it and I think it's good for like the character and for motivation and stuff. But I was thinking about maybe once I get done with this first draft, going back and retooling it and maybe start closer to the action and like
rearrange it
and or like have like a cliffhanger at the end of the of a chapter and then jump back to a thing like with his family for a chapter,
right?
And then go back, you know what I mean? So that not only does it give him suspense, like a little bit more suspense, it makes them want to continue reading.
Makes it interesting.
You know what I mean? And then
it doesn't feel like an exposition dump.
Yeah,
because it's not just like, oh, you get all the character information right off the bat, then the story starts. Because I was thinking about that in my novel here. I'm like, hey, like this is cool. I like how I started it and stuff, and in the way these scenes unfold, and like the character interaction. But how do I? And I made sure this was a point before I even really started writing. Is like, how am I going to unveil their backstory and stuff? Without just having it. Okay, here it is, right in your face. Like I decided small increments throughout the story. You'll get like Nicholas Obregon does a great job of that. Like in Blue Light Yokohama, he unveils this guy's backstory almost as a mystery that isn't concluded until the end. So the whole time you're like, oh, I want to know more. And it's when you finally get to the end, you get your revelations.
And like what he does good with his is like
flashbacks and stuff too.
The flashbacks and like each time, even with like Iwata, his main character, like early on you get these things of like kind of dark, lonely, mysterious. Something bad happened, but you don't know what.
Yeah. And
then as you slowly find out those pieces in between the stuff that's going on at the moment, it really the way that it changes the way you feel about a character.
Yeah. And not to mention the way he's able to meld the character's story and backstory with the mystery that's going on because he's searching for like a killer. So you get all the stuff unraveling, and then it's like, oh, why? Like the serial killer, like they find out some new information, and it kind of goes back to this information. Is it related? I don't know. And it makes you just want to explore the story a lot more. But back to the essay, Spencer, because I know that's what you really want to talk about. Research also shows that image and metaphor play a greater role in writing than usually credited. Do you agree with that?
Maybe. I don't know. Continue.
Many of our most fascinating ideas come not as a result of careful logical reasoning, but from a flash of insight, a brief image, a poignant memory. Imagination cannot be willed or controlled by logic, yet it is the essence of each writer's uniqueness, of writing which impacts our minds and hearts. Another thing I fully agree with, because both of us, we talked about this not too long ago, about how our stories come about just from like usually just like an image or a phrase or just like a memory, just like some random things. I don't think most people just sit there and they go, hey, it'd be a cool story if a guy named Brad Henry walks down the street and gets hit by a car, and like they don't unravel it like that. It's usually like, you smell exhaust fume in a parking lot and you go, I wonder what
could that be?
Yeah, what would that was like, Or here's a good instance. This is very morbid. Folks who don't want gory details, tune out for a second. While I was working today, I was driving down one of the main roads in our city, and right where the beer district is, and I seen it, Spencer. I seen it. A gentleman was laying on the sidewalk, gushing blood out of his head. Blood was gushing out of his head, and I went and I was on my way to fuel up my truck. So I got fuel. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go back now. I want to see what's going on. And I was only like 5 minutes to fuel up. And then I was going back, and there was 2 cop cars, an ambulance, some kind of paramedic van, and a fire truck. And I look, and there was a lady there like cradling the guy. And he looked dead. Like he wasn't moving at all. And there was more blood, and they picked him up, and they put him in the thing. And his hat was laying there. And it was dark crimson blood. Ooh. And it was a big pile, like a big puddle, and I was like, holy shit. And I because luckily the stoplight was there, so I really got the gawk. And then I go on my way and I'm just thinking, like, did that guy get shot or did he get hit by a car? My first thought was a cop hit him because I thought a cop ran him over because there was a cop car there when I initially first drove by because they were speeding past me, but I think they were speeding to the scene. I would hope so anyway. But yeah, that was a very morbid thing to see today. And I was like, did I see? And then your mind started, did I see brains? Like,
well, that's like this was years ago. I was leaving my buddy's house, and it was like late at night. Like I was there until like it was like 11:30. I was driving back home, and I was coming around like there's like by where I live there's an overpass that goes over the highway into another part of town, and like I came up that way. And there was just like this not little, he's probably like 13, 14, but just fat kid just sitting on the edge of the corner of the one thing.
oh,
And I was like, what? That's weird. And then like the next night I was over at my buddy's house. I drove back and and he was there again. I'm like, what the fuck's this kid doing? What's going on? Like, and that was even before like the whole writing thing. I just started like
thinking
in my head, like, what the fuck's going on? Like, what is this?
Got a death wish, son.
Who's he waiting on?
You probably should have just called the cops. Yeah, so things like that, just those little things that spark the imagination of us writers. And I wonder if non-writers have that. If they, like, play, because I'm always having stupid fantasy. Like, most of my days just spent thinking about things that'll never happen.
That probably depends on, like, people who probably, like, watch a lot of shows and stuff like that. Yeah. Or even, like, reading, they probably do. But like those people who are who just don't like doing that stuff, that's just never their thing. I wouldn't think that they would have like ideas like that. Yeah. They'd probably have ideas like they saw something like that needed to be fixed or something. They probably come up with like 1,000 ideas on how you could do that.
Those are the people who get like YouTube ads are for. Like they watch a YouTube ad and they're like, yeah, I want it, because they don't have the I don't know, that creative energy in them where, they're watching the YouTube video and they think, oh man, it'd be really cool and come up with a story idea. No, they just like are watching the YouTube video for entertainment and then the ad comes on and like, hey, I could buy that, eat that. And like, that's just, some people are wired that way. Yeah,
there's nothing wrong or bad about it. It's just how each person is.
It's awful and I don't like you. By the way, our sponsor, no. Also, Spencer, because this is a question I know you're dying for me to ask you.
And I should probably know the answer then.
Well, you might. So, we talk about the uniqueness of writing minds and hearts and all that stuff. So, my question, so where does a writing teacher begin? It's a horrible segue.
Well, yeah, considering I've never taught anything. I don't even like training people at work, let alone like trying to teach writing.
Let me just get with the essay.
Yeah.
Let's see what the essay says.
The.
John, a conscientious, orally expressive student, appears in my office frustrated and totally blocked. I guess I'm just not a writer. I know what I plan to say when I get into my essay, he tells me, but I just can't seem to find a way to write the introduction to get the writing started.
I like how it like started out Southern, but then it
switched up to like, I don't even know. So, why don't you write the parts you already have in mind and see if that will suggest an introduction, I offer. His jaw drops. Can you do that? He asks. Somewhere over the years, the idea became ingrained in his thinking that the only right way to write was from introduction through to conclusion. When that didn't work, he concluded that he could not write. So this would be somebody that can't write beginning to end. They have to go scene by scene. Nothing wrong with that. Our job, suggests Donald Murray in Write to Learn, is not to teach students how to write, but to teach them how to teach themselves to write. Okay, now we're recovering a little. Let me get to the actual essay here. Oh, wait a minute. They do break it down.
I was going to say that they kind of like, to cover that point a little bit more, writing is like kind of like the opposite of math. You don't have to show your work.
No.
You just need the answer.
You don't have to show your work, and going by a formula is usually the wrong move. Spencer, to add on to your math analogy.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I should go on with this because I thought there's titles, but I read them wrong. So I went to the simplified version, not of the essay. It's the website version.
Oh, okay. I was like, say that's messed up if your essay has like a simple version.
Well, on the website it had like these big headings, and on the simplified version it's not. But I couldn't read the essay because it was like microscopic print. On the actual website, which I don't even know what it is. It's nwp.org, whatever that is. I have a feeling this is going to delve into, because it's going Mozart and Beethoven. So I feel like this is going to go into discovery writer versus like an organized plan writer, like an outliner, because I believe, if I'm correct, because I was big into Beethoven when I was a youngin', because we took recorder in school and I like playing Beethoven.
I like the dog movies.
And I also did a little Mozart when I was teaching myself how to play piano when I was a teenager. I only remember very little of that. But from what I remember being taught in school about Beethoven, I think was just because he was like going deaf and stuff. I think he was more of like the free flowing jazz kind of guy. He just, came up with stuff all on the fly. Mozart, he was very organized and to the point and had the things planned out and shit. And I like the name Amadeus. I don't know if you're a big fan of that name, but if I could have picked a name for my mother to name me, it would have been Amadeus Caleb.
You just want a song.
Shut up. I don't want a song. I do want a song. There is no songs with the name Caleb in it that I know of.
Amadeus.
So our off-kilter educated hillbilly was asking about, how to write or something. So we're going with, but Donald Murray has to say, I don't know who Donald Murray is, but he wrote a book called Write to Learn. So he says, our goal then is to help our students develop successful rituals in their writing processes. As we demystify the writing process, we also reduce students' anxiety about writing, for they discover that there is no one right or wrong way to write. The word right is coming up in too many different instances here. There's no right way to write, and you gotta write.
Yeah.
It's just fucking too much, man.
Somebody did a very bad job of writing this.
I don't know who Miss Diana is, but I'm going to tell her you said if she's still alive. This is like 30 years ago now. Oh, that makes me sick. 30 years ago. So there's no right or wrong way to write. That learning to write is a process of discovering what will help them be successful. The more strategies of writing that students develop, the less likely they are to block. The more they will be able to discover what works for them and for a variety of writing assignments. Individual differences provide a place to begin. Writing about his fellow poets, Stephen Spender concluded that they came in two types, Beethovenians and Mozartians. I keep saying Mozartians, but could it be Mozart? Nah, it can't be. It has to be Mozartians. It's like Martians.
Mosasians?
No, there's an R in there. I don't like it, though. So Stephen Spender concluded that they come in two types, Beethovenians and Mozartians. Research suggests a third kind of writer. Oh, yeah? What do you think it is? What? You know? Huh?
No, nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing. Gwendol writers. Gwendolins.
It's a Gwendolyn.
Yeah.
Just made that up.
Yeah.
I'm just saying things because you read that Gwendy book.
Yeah.
And that's the word.
Well, I was also trying to think of like Grendolsons.
Oh. It's just a combination of the two. That's all the answer was.
So what's that called? Mosaean Bautovians?
Bozartians.
Ooh.
That's what I
like it.
Or Meathovens.
It doesn't.
I like Meathovens.
It does a comment section at the end of that. You need to put that in there.
Meathovens. But Beethovens. If I could throw the word meat into everything, I would. Beethovens are discoverers. They discover what they want to say during the process of writing. In other words, they write to generate ideas, compose to find out what they have to say. Their writing is non-directed, reflexive, characterized by multiple messy drafts. They are right-brain processors, visual thinkers, high imagers, allowing image and metaphor to structure their first drafts. That's more me, probably. Yeah. Also, I just want to point out I read a thing recently. Could have been Scientific America, could have been Newsweek. I don't fucking remember. But apparently the whole left brain, right brain thing that they always say, oh, you're left brain or you're right brain, bullshit, utter horseshit. Apparently, everybody's just a combination of something or other.
Up there,
the extremes might be one or the other, but very rare.
Up there with the whole using 2% of your brain or whatever it is.
10% of your brain.
Yeah.
AKA a vegetable. If you only use 10% of your brain, that's like I can breathe and that's about it. My heart pumps.
I just don't think they still don't know a lot what goes on up there.
In your brain?
Yeah.
Oh, they know it all. No, they don't. I have a working theory. What if the universe is just a giant brain where you're just the consciousness of some greater being?
You're just like your whole life is just like a neuron spark.
Everything is just like the whole universe, just electro impulses of the brain. What if it's your brain, Spencer? I'm a tumor.
Yeah, basically.
So Mozartians, people who are Mozart, on the other hand, are planners. They plan extensively, either mentally or on paper or both, and then execute. Ooh, I like that word. Execute. It's hard. It's a hard word. We need to do an episode on hard writing, how to use the proper words when they're needed, because I found that in my sex scene where I was like, ooh, the word hard's good. Stiff is then I was thinking more on it. Now, what do I do for the climax here? No pun intended. Ejaculate? Too scientific, but it could be more formal. And then I was like, ooh, but what's a good hard word for that? Explosion? Eruption? Like, it makes you think grosser things the more you go into it. Burst is a good one. I'm sorry. But eruption is the one I wouldn't go. Dribbled. Eruption, I feel like that's gross. If I read eruption, I'm like,
Well, that also, like, I feel like you would have to have, like that needs, like, a crazy sex scene. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like they're rolling around the whole room and picking each other up and stuff. Like,
erupting is better than eruption. Eruption just feels like, I don't know, it just makes me think of, like, squeezing a boil, like, or a volcano. Those are the only two things I think of when I hear eruption. And then if you go, like, the woman's erupting, whoa, what's coming out of there? Also, I'm highly aware, folks, for anybody's listening and questioning this, I am very aware that I probably focus more on the man's pleasure and the man aspect of the sex scene. I will rework that. I will make the woman have equal or even more, depending how in the mood I am. It's just, I was writing with one hand at the point in time, and you know how it goes.
Unless if you just make your character a bad lay, and then there wouldn't be.
They're young. They're both probably bad. I don't want to go into it too much because I am a 35-year-old man now, so it makes me feel kind of gross to think that, like, when I was 20 years old, these characters would have been 5.
These fake made-up people.
Let's finish this article before we go into an hour long. The combinations do not rely on a particular method or strategy to write, varying the writing process according to a okay, we get the point. So rationalist assumptions here, Spencer.
Pantsers, unpantsers.
Yeah, I don't think we need a whole essay to fucking figure that one out. I think it's been figured out a long time ago. 1993 to be specific.
At the least. Probably before, but...
I'm erupting. Could you imagine if somebody was ejaculating there? I'm erupting! I'm bursting forth. That's when you want to get more biblical. He's bursting forth at the seams. It's a lot of fun when you really stop to think about all the gross things you could say in a non-gross manner. Like, how do I make something... Because spitting DNA into each other's mouths is gross. So how do you do it in a way that doesn't sound gross? I don't know why it's got to be your mouse, but I just... Yeah. Okay, so rational assumptions, Spencer. Writing, especially academic writing, has often been taught as a logical, step-by-step process, as if all students were Mozartians. In fact, American education as a whole, sucks ass, focuses on the left brain, on the processes of reason and logic and linear thinking, downplaying imaginative, intuitive, nonlinear right brain processing. Rationalist assumptions have governed education at all levels, ignoring intuitive, imaginistic ways of knowing, with little or no attention given to whole brain thinking until recently. So 1993, whole brain thinking. 1992 and before, to the beginning of time, you're one or the other. You didn't get to use your whole brain. That's why some got eaten by the lion, some fed the lion, some were, I don't know where I'm going with this. Is there anything I can take away from this? Maybe the emotion. I'm not reading this whole thing now because some of these, it's going really into the hemispheres. And like I said, I'm pretty sure this got pointed out as just kind of malarkey. Well, I mean, I get what they're saying. They're saying you got to use your whole brain, but you always use your fucking whole brain.
Even right now, though it seems like we are not, me and Caleb are using our full brain.
It's just not a lot of power.
Yeah.
We're like a fucking, 2006 fucking PC.
I was going to say, we're like a hamster world trying to power a city.
And that hamster only has 3 legs. Emotion and patterning. Attitudes and outlook play an important role in writing. Did you know that?
Sure.
The search for meaning in the mind occurs through patterning. The brain's natural tendency to integrate information to create meaning. Emotions are critical to patterning. For learning to take, a student must be involved and free from threat. Students who feel they do not fit, who are unhappy or anxious, cannot learn effectively, nor can they write well. When teachers of writing tell their stories about writing and share their own writing, we model the multiplicity. Oh my God, my fucking head's melting reading this. I'm done. I can't do it no more. And I can't link this in the show notes because, like I said, this is like a downloadable PDF website. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know what it came up as, but they're just telling bullshit. Then it goes on about writers and rituals. We've covered that on the podcast. This is holy shit. Yeah, we'd be here for 3 hours. I read all this. I will tell you about the author though. Diane Christian Boehm. I think I called her Christine because I wouldn't think a woman would have the middle name Christian, but it's Christian. Diane Christian Boehm wrote this article while serving as a member of the Minnesota Writing Project and teaching composition at the University of Michigan, Flint, and Saginaw Valley State University. She is now director of the Saginaw Bay Writing Project and continues to teach the Saginaw Valley State. I feel like I'm changing the name every time I read it. Yeah, so she's a teacher. Okay. I got that from the thing. I feel like we didn't cover much ground in that episode, so I would like to reiterate. When you're writing a sex scene, what you want to do is describe the goo in a way that isn't gross. How do you do...
gross.
I will say I did not talk about the goo. And I did start my sex scene unsexily with the condom. Just so you know, he brought out the condom, but did not show it put on. Leave that up to the imagination of the reader, if it was used or not.
Didn't describe the color of it or if it glowed in the dark.
I'm trying to get sponsored by Trojan.
If it had a flavor.
Or Durex if I want to go flavored. I feel like bananas their go-to.
Was it ribbed for her pleasure, Caleb?
I don't like ribbed condoms. They feel weird. They're thick. They're so thick.
They're not for you.
Just tie string around your peep. They're not. Yeah, no. They're for the lady to have that strong, gross latex smell.
Yeah.
I hate that smell. I would use a sheepskin if I had to over that fucking stinky shit. Ugh. And I almost brought it up in my story. It was like, after you take that thing off, if you want to, like, you decide, oh, hey, how about we do some, downtown munching? That smell has ruined everything. Apparently, I'm just very, keen to that, or not keen. That's not. I'm sensitive to that smell because, after it's used, I always think of dirty diapers. That's what it smells like to me, like latex, dirty diaper. It's gross. Who the fuck wants that? Yeah. So if I read a story that the scene's not supposed to be sexy, I'm including all that information because that's seared into my brain. So folks, what the fuck was this episode about? We read a half an essay about right brain, left brain. That's where it devolved into. But
Beethoven and sex scenes.
It just seemed like a very fancy way to cover something we've covered at least 3 times now, which was, are you a pantser or are you a outliner, pretty much. I did like the message that it's not wrong to be either.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people are taught in schools, which is why I picked that article, is academics teach one way. And that's why people like us hated school, because we probably didn't learn the way they're teaching, which is very linear, very boring. And I feel like most people don't learn the way that's taught.
And it don't be afraid to switch it up a little bit because it might change from project to project.
That's true. I've written stories where I needed outlines, and I've written stories where they came out way better if I just, didn't think about it and just found my way. Can I rail on the establishment real quick?
Go.
The educational establishment.
Do it.
Real talk. 100. Keep it in 100.
Cap?
No cap.
No cap.
No cap. Cap's off.
Whoo. Capless.
Oh, that build up, I forgot what I was going to say.
Something about the education system.
It was a really good point to be made, but
they're so bad that Caleb can't remember his own facts.
Can't even remember the facts I had. I was going to spit them too. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I don't think anybody gives a fuck. We know the school system sucks in every way possible at this point. So folks, if you want to check out our fiction, hey, can I bring up something very depressing, Spencer?
If you can remember it.
I actually almost forgot until I was doing the outro here. This is you. This is about you, sir.
Okay.
You ready to fucking feel like a piece of hunk of dog shit?
Okay.
Your last article, because I was going through the numbers today. Your last article on Drunken Pen Writing was published November 12th, 2021.
Yeah.
Your last story, do you even want to guess when the last story was published?
Before then, I would assume.
Space War story.
Oh, God.
Was May 15th.
Almost a year ago.
2021. You're coming up on a year since you wrote a story for the site. And more than half a year since you had any kind of article on here. I was just looking because Ashley's been putting out a bunch of book reviews lately, and I'm like, I need to start putting stuff. And I was looking at mine. I was like, when's the last time I wrote something for the site? It was just like last week. So I was like, okay, that's not too bad. What about that Spencer guy?
Bad. Bad.
Somebody want to fucking fix that, Buster.
Okay.
I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? Anyway, that's drunkenpenwriting.com if you want to read Spencer's work that he just decides not to keep up on anymore because he wants to be a hermit.
Long time ago.
I would like to think you haven't been working on this one story since 2021. No, you did a bunch of. You did it. Yeah, you started like 5. Wow. You know what?
Well, there's stories for the collections, and then stories for my own thing.
Yeah.
It's just nothing. Working. It's just nothing for the website.
Nothing for the fans who can read it now.
Yeah.
I feel like we're the South Park episode where they meet George R.R. Martin. He keeps talking about the dragons are coming. The dragons are coming.
The book is coming. The book is coming.
The stories are coming. The book is coming. Everything's going to come at once is what's going to happen. Just like the guy in my story. Everything is just going to come at once, and then the fans are going to be inundated with too much stuff. And then they're probably not going to buy any of it because like, they put too much shit out now. Anyway, you can check us out on Twitter at Drunk Pen Writing and Instagram and Facebook at Drunken Pen Writing. And if you're into frolicking and you want it seen done fancifully, is it fancifully or fancifully? I think I'm wrong both ways. You know what? You talk while I do that. No topic at hand. Just ramble.
Ramble and jibble jabble and whatever.
Fanciful's a word.
Fanciful, yeah.
Fancifully.
Oh, you actually wrote it down?
No, I just looked it up.
Oh. I mean, I thought whenever you came up with the name earlier in the day, yeah, you wrote it down.
No, it was in my this steel trap of a mind I got.
Yes.
Wait a minute, okay. Spencer. Fancily is also a word. So fuck it. I'm double right. I was double right, not double wrong.
I can do all three with my
claim. What is a double positive? Anyways, OnlyFans, the Finnish fancy frolicker, and you're frolicking in the fields. I wish it didn't have to be alliteration because I feel like your frolicking is definitely more insidious than anything.
Oh yeah,
it is scaring people. It is demented is a good word.
Animals won't come around when I do it.
Nothing comes around but you. You're the only thing coming in that field, buddy. So anyway,
that's my sex scene.
Oh, just while frolicking?
Yeah,
it's kind of impressive. Still doesn't beat Steve-O, who jumped out of an airplane and
jerking off.
Yeah, I saw that video because I went to his comedy show and he showed it. And it was very gross. So fans, if you like our content, give us a like and share. Oh my God, what is happening? I'm telling them the things I should always tell them and I never do.
Yeah.
Like and share.
Subscribe.
Review. Give us stars. Subscribe. Everything else you could possibly do.
Isn't there a donate button?
If that still works, there's a donate button on the website. Also, if you like the outro music, which is the same as the intro music, let us know because Spencer's brother apparently doesn't like change, so he thinks the music is just okay.
He just needs more time to get into it.
I like it more than the old music because the old music was harsh to my ears. It was supposed to be filler that we just never changed. And the fans, I don't even think nobody liked it. It was just like you said. They just were used to it. You know what, fucks? Space music out.